So for each of these decorations, you're going to need approximately 5 grams of your base yarn. And depending on how much decoration you're going to do, about 1 to 2 grams of this colour yarn. In terms of our equipment, I've got a 3.5mm crochet hook, a sewing needle for weaving in our ends, some stitch markers, and also some snips. So before we get started, the very first thing we're going to need to do is build a slip knot on our hook. And to do this, we simply wrap the yarn around our fingers to form a loop. Pop your crochet hook through that loop and pick up the yarn behind, making sure to keep hold of this tail end and then just pull. And this will create a really nice adjustable slip knot on our hook. So the first part of our pattern says we chain 5. So to do a chain, we're just going to yarn over our hook and pull through the loop that's already on there. There we go, so that's 1 chain. So we need to do 5 of those in total. So yarn over and pull through, that's 2. Yarn over, pull through, 3. Yarn over, pull through, 4. Yarn over and pull through, 5. So that chain is essentially the start of our work, and it's what we will work row 1 into, sometimes called a foundation chain. So row 1 of our pattern says 1 double crochet in the second chain from our hook, and then 1 double crochet in each of the next 3 chain. So what this means is we're going to do 1 double crochet into this second chain from the hook. So that's the first chain, that's the second chain. And then we need to do 1 double crochet in the remaining 3 chain. So to do a double crochet, pop your hook in here. So in the middle of that chain, we're going to pop our hook through. We're going to yarn over and pull through until we've got 2 loops on our hook. Then yarn over again and pull through those 2 loops. That's the double crochet. So we need to do 3 more. Yarn out, insert your hook, yarn over and pull through until we've got 2 loops on our hook. Yarn over and pull through 2. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through 2. Insert your hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. So you'll see on your pattern that at the end of row 1 there's a number in brackets, and this is the number of stitches you should have at the end of your row. So this is 4. So you can count that and say 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. I know that row is correct because I've got 4 stitches. This bump you see here is actually part of our chain row. So this one, I'll use a needle to show you. This is our row, our complete row. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. So at the end of every single row, what we need to do is chain and turn. So to chain and turn, we do this. So chain, yarn over and pull through like we did right at the start, and then simply flip your work over. So make sure you keep hold of that crochet hook. We're not moving that one at all. We're just flipping our work over. And that will let us work back along the row we've just made. Perfect. So for row 2, the pattern reads 2 double crochet, 1 double crochet in each of next 2 stitches, and then 2 double crochet. And you can see from the pattern that we should end up with 6 stitches. So I know that we're essentially increasing twice on here because we're going from 4 stitches to 6 stitches. The first part of this row is 2 double crochet. This means we are putting 2 double crochets in this very first stitch here. So insert your hook, making sure to go through both sides of your stitch, so through the V, underneath the V like that, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2. So that's 1 double crochet, but the pattern says we need to do 2. So instead of going to the next stitch, we're going to go back into the hole we've just been in, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2. So you can see we've actually made 2 stitches now in that one stitch. So that's the 2 double crochet. The rest of this row reads 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So that's just 1 double crochet in here and 1 double crochet in here. And then finally in the last stitch of the row, it's another 2 double crochet. So insert your hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through, and then the second double crochet into the same stitch. So you're going back into the same hole. Perfect. So you'll see that this row should have finished on 6 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Fabulous. We know we're on track. Perfect. So chain and turn because we've got to the end of our row, and we're starting row 3 now. So row 3 reads 2 double crochet, 1 double crochet in each of the next 4 stitches, and then 2 double crochet. And you'll see that at the end of this row we need 8 stitches. So again, we're increasing from the previous row twice. So for row 3, we're going to do 2 double crochet. So that means we're going to the stitch twice. 1 double crochet, that's 2. So we've gone into that one twice. We're then doing 1 double crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, they're only getting 1 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4. And in the very last stitch, we've got a 2 double crochet. So we're going to go into this one twice. Perfect. So at the end of row 3, we should now have 8 stitches. So let's count those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. We then chain and turn, ready for row 4. So for row 4, again, we're doing an increase. We're going up to 10 stitches this time, and it's the same again. So we're doing 2 double crochet in the very first stitch, 1 double crochet in the stitches in between, and then 2 double crochet in the very last one as well. 1, 2, 1 double crochet in each of the next 6 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6. And then 2 double crochet in that very last one. There we go. And row 4 says we should finish on 10 stitches. So let's give those a count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. While you're new to crochet, I think it's a really good habit to get into is counting your stitches at the end of your row. So there's nothing worse than getting several rows down and realizing you made a mistake ages ago. So definitely count while you're still kind of getting used to what the stitches look like and what you're doing. So end of this row, we are chaining and turning 1. And we're now on to row 5. So again, we've got another increase here. We're going up to 12 stitches, and it's the same again. 2 double crochet in both the first and last stitch. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull through. That is the second double crochet in there. We've got 1 double crochet in each of the next 8 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, and then finally 2 double crochet in that last stitch there. So we're going to go into this one twice. 1, 2. Perfect. we're then going to chain and turn to finish row 5. So we are now working row 6, which is simply 1 double crochet in each stitch. So there's no increase here. And again, we can tell that by the number in brackets. So row 5 finished on 12 stitches and row 6 also finishes on 12 stitches. So we know there's no increase here. 1 double crochet in each stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Perfect. So the pattern then asks you to break yarn and fasten off. So to do this, just pull your hook, make a lovely nice loop on that and give your work a snip here, and then just pull this through. So that won't unravel now. It's pull through on your stitch. So that is where your house should look like at the end of row 6. Row 7. This row reads, with RS facing, so right side facing, rejoin yarn in the top of the 3rd available stitch on row 6 and work 1 double crochet in each of next 8 stitches. So what this means is, first of all, with the right side facing, this is right side facing. And we know this because your starting tail should be on your left hand side when the right side is facing you. If the pattern said wrong side facing you, it would be this way round and your tail would be on the right. Another way to remember this is whether you are about to do an even or an odd row. So row 7 is an odd row, which means we will always be working back towards our tail. With right side facing, rejoin yarn in the top of the 3rd available stitch on row 6. So because we would be working this way, our 3rd available stitch is counted from the right because this is the way we would be crocheting on this row. So 1, 2, 3. So for this row, we are going into this stitch, that one marked. I'm just going to leave that mark now and get my crochet hook ready. So again, very similar to how we started our work, we're going to build a slip knot on our hook. There we go. And then we're going to insert our hook into that 3rd available stitch. So 1, 2, 3, insert our hook. Make sure we don't get confused with this tail that we used earlier. So pop that to one side for now. Make sure we don't get confused. We just want our live piece of yarn, which is this one here. And we're going to do 1 chain. So 1 chain is just going to secure it. So pull that through and make a chain. So that's nice and secure on our work now, but we still need to do a double crochet in this very stitch. So insert your hook back in, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through too. So that's your double crochet there. Fab. So we've rejoined our yarn in the top of the 3rd available stitch on row 6. And then we need to work 1 double crochet in each of the next 8. So we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Note that 2 stitches will remain on that row in the same way that there are 2 stitches spare at the other side of the row. So that's the end of that row, row 7. So again, we chain and turn. So rows 8 to 12 are just 1 double crochet in each stitch. So 8 stitches, it's going to be a lovely rectangle. So again, I'm just going to insert our hook in that first stitch, do our double crochet, just one double crochet in each of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. And chain and turn. This is row 9. And again, I know that because I'm heading back towards my starting tail, so I must be working an odd row, which is row 9. Chain and turn. Now work row 10, which is the same again. 1 double crochet in each of these 8 stitches. Chain and turn. So I think I'm on row 11 now. Let me just count. So I know that I rejoined my work on this row here, and that was row 7. So row 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, row 11. So I'm working back towards my tail, so I'm definitely working row 11, or definitely working an odd number at least. And I've counted my rows, so I know it's row 11. So 1 double crochet in each of these. Perfect. Chain and turn. And then finally row 12, so 1 double crochet in each of the 8 stitches again. Fab. Okay, and again, break yarn and fasten off, so just pull that through a little bit, give it a snip, and then pull through. So there is our lovely house shape. So at the end of row 12, your work should look something like this. So again, we've got our starting tail over here. You may have these tails as well from where we've rejoined or finished work, but don't worry about those. Should have a lovely, nice house type shape ready to go. So what we need to do is repeat all of those steps once again. Pop this to one side, repeat the pattern until we're left with 2 of these, and then come on back and we'll look at joining them together. Okay, so now we've got 2 identical pieces of our house. We're going to connect them together with a round of double crochet. So in your pattern, this reads, position your 2 pieces on top of each other and complete 1 round of DC along the edges. For row ends, work 1 double crochet into each row end, and for external corners, place 2 double crochet. So I'm going to run through that now and what that means. But first of all, it's worth mentioning that if you are kind of new to this technique or find it quite difficult to kind of identify where your stitches are, it may be worth just taking some time in to weave in these little ends just so that they don't get in the way. So I'm going to just show you on one of them now how I would do this. So this is the stitch. I don't want to damage the stitch in any way. So what I'm going to do is find the back of my piece of work. So if you remember, right side facing is with your tail on this left-hand side. So I'm going to go into the back of my work and I'm just going to weave it in some of these stitches here. So it's nice and secure and out of the way. Making sure that if I leave any length of yarn, it's just going to pop out into the back of my work so it's not visible. So that is how I would secure my ends. Again, just pull it, but don't pull it too hard that you kind of damage this very last stitch. We still want to be able to make sure that when we go round, we can get our crochet hook in there. So perfect. That's how I would just weave in the ends and just snip that off there. Okay, so this is what your two pieces should look like after you've weaved in your tails. You'll notice that I've left my starting tail though, as I just think this is really useful to know which way round my work is. So I can just leave that there. So what we need to do is, like the pattern says, we need to position your two pieces on top of each other. And then we're going to complete one round. So we're now crocheting in the round rather than in rows, along the edges to join them together. For row ends, work one double crochet into each row end, and for external corners we're going to place 2 double crochet to help us get around those corners. So I'm going to take you through that now. Now it's worth noting that this can be a bit tricky if it's your first time kind of working into row ends. It may feel a bit unfamiliar, but it's a really important skill in crochet, particularly for things like blankets or even clothes as well, when you're looking to join pieces of work together. So definitely stick with it, and hopefully this tutorial will be really useful for you. So line up your work, and this is how I want my piece to face me. I mean, it's a house, so it's even, but if you had something that was uneven, like a letter, or had a certain way around it needs to be, make sure it's facing towards you in this instance. And then I'm going to get my yarn, still yarn A, the same colour we've been using, and we're going to build a slip knot on our hook as we've done before. Now when we rejoin yarn using a chain, it does not count as a stitch, so just bear that in mind. Whenever I rejoin yarn, it doesn't count as a stitch, it's just a way of rejoining yarn essentially. So we're going to insert our hook under this very first chain. Now these are the chains we made at the start of our work, if you remember when our house was this way around. So these are the very first chains we made, and we need to insert our hook into that first one on both pieces of our work. So make sure you're going into the same chain on each corresponding piece of house. And then we're just going to pull that yarn through and chain. So that is our chain to join our work. But we still need to do a double crochet. So we're going to go back into that same stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2 to finish our double crochet to join that. Perfect. So from my pattern, I know that this chain row was made up of 4 stitches. I've just done 1, so I've got 3 more left. So we find the next chain, which is right here. And again, you may need to just manipulate your work a little bit, you know, feel free to have a look at what's going on. But I've got 3 chain there, so insert your hook and make sure you go into the same stitch on the other side and it's all still lined up, and we do another double crochet again and then again. Perfect. So we've got 4 double crochet there, but we've reached a corner, so that means that last double crochet we've done, we need to do another one in it. So that's the 2 double crochet at external corners that the pattern's referring to. So make sure we put another stitch in there, which is what's going to bring us nicely ready to go down the roof. We're then going to work down these row ends. So if this is brand new to you, it may seem like you're kind of looking at your work and thinking, wow, where the hell do I go? So a top tip is kind of just give your work a little bit of a pull, and you should hopefully see these natural gaps. And these are your row ends, and they are formed by where we've done a chain and a turn, essentially. So another way to identify them is just look for these naturally occurring lines between your rows. So you'll see there's this one here, which we're already in. So this was a natural line here. We're in that one. There's another one here, and one here. And at the end of those, you'll find a gap, and those are your row ends. So we're going to pop our hook in this one, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. All of these stitches are a double crochet, so keep doing what you've been doing. and then we're going to go into this row end here. Keep working down. Perfect. You see it's giving a really nice smooth edge to the top of our house, which is perfect. Right, so now we've reached a part of our work where we've kind of missing some stitches, and it's actually going to reach an internal corner. First, we've got an external corner though, and we're going to go into those stitches. So this is actually might feel a bit more familiar to you because it's going into the V, into stitches rather than row ends at this point, because we've reached that point. Hopefully that's making sense. So you'll see that this was a row end, but this row end is actually a stitch. So that is the same one. This row end is a stitch. So we're going to go in there. And we're going to do 2 double crochet, because again, we're at an external corner and we need to bring our work round. So the next thing we need to do is we've got an internal corner here. So we don't want to jump straight over here. We need it to be nice and smooth along this edge. So we're going to go into this next stitch. So like I said, this should feel quite familiar to you because it's a stitch, not a row end. So insert your hook and you're going into both of the V's and pulling through and under. So those two, we've gone into those 2 spare stitches that were left on row 6 when we joined row 7, if you remember earlier. So there's 2 spare stitches at either end. We've just gone into them. And now we're back to going into row ends. So again, this is our next row end. This one we've already used. We've done it. So the next one we're going to go into is this one here. So insert your hook, making sure always to check that you're going through the same corresponding stitch on the other side, and keep going down until we get to the very last one. Now this actually might be easier to see than when we were up here, to be fair, so I'll just show you this again. So this stitch is this row end. This row end is obviously an edge like it was up here. So that means we're going into the actual stitch. And because it's a corner, we need to do 2 double crochet. There we go. Now again, we're back in familiar territory. We're just going back along all these stitches until we get right to the end. Okay, we're back to row ends. We've done this row end. We're going into this one now, which is this gap here. So insert our hook, make sure it's the same on the other side, and we're going to do double crochet right the way up. Fabulous. We've got to that end. And we've got these 2 stitches spare, if you remember. From the pattern, we've got 2 spare. So make sure we go into both of these. And in that second one, we're going to put 2 double crochet because it's an external corner. Ooh. 1, 2. Perfect. We're nearly there now. So we're going back along this final row end piece, and we've done this row end, so we're going into this one next. Perfect. So when you get to the end, it should look something like this. And this top part here is the start of our border round. So to rejoin that, what we're going to do is a slip stitch. So get your hook, insert it into the very first double crochet we did on this border round. Insert your hook, pull through, so there's 2 on your loop, and then pull that loop through the first one. that's a slip stitch. You can then pull and snip. There we go. So that is your lovely little gingerbread house, and we're going to weave in these ends now, and then we can decorate. Okay, so it's time to decorate our lovely little biscuit now, and I'm going to start by adding this chain, which will be used to kind of hang it on a Christmas tree or wherever else you might want to hang it, but feel free to skip this step if you're going for the bunting option instead. But to add our little hanging chain, we're going to just pop a slip knot on our hook, and I want mine to sit at the top of my house. So I'm going to go into one of these very top chains I've done. I'm actually going into the second of the 4 along this top row, but you can go into whichever one you like. And we're just going to do a slip knot there to join. I'm then going to chain 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm then going to bring my hook back down into the very next stitch along and do a slip stitch. And there we go. So that's made a nice little loop on the top of my work from which we can hang it, which I think looks really nice. So, like I said, if you don't want to do the bunting option, feel free to skip that step. But from here, I'm just going to carry on and we're going to do our icing round. So once we've done that slip stitch, just pull through quite a large length of yarn because we want it to go all the way around our house, and give it a snip. And then pull it through that stitch. So it's still nice and secure. Our chain is nice and secure on our piece, but we've got this long bit of yarn we can use now. So we don't need our crochet hook anymore, so pop that to one side, but we will be using our sewing needle. So thread that length of yarn on your needle, and then what we are going to do is just start weaving in this piece of yarn in between these various V's that are our double crochet. So I'll just bring it up nice and close. So I'm going to go into the middle of this V, but bring it out into the front of my work. Oh, if you have too long a yarn, it can get a bit tangled. So try not to get that too tangled. And we're just going to go around the whole piece like that. Okay, so I've finished going around the full parameter of my house, and I'm at the end now, so I'm just going to weave it through the last stitch and then thread it towards the back of my work. Now at the back, this is where we can just tie off right with our starting tail of where we started the chain, and then we can just weave it through the back of our work so it's no longer visible. There we go. I will weave that in a minute. Now, how you decorate your house is completely up to you. I'm going to do a little doorway like I've done on that one. And to do this, I essentially used a length of yarn to draw a doorway. So let me just grab a length of yarn. I'm not sure that one would be enough. Thread my yarn on. For the door, what I'm going to do is insert my needle here, find a natural gap that it's coming out of, and pull through. Oh, didn't leave much of a tail there. I go back on myself and go again through that gap, but this time I go up one row further. Perfect. Again, back on myself, down 1 row, up 1 row further. Go back on myself, down 1 row, up 1 row further. Once I've done that, I'm essentially going to use these stitches in the same way I did these edges. So again, just going in and out, in and out, in and out to add a nice extra texture to my piece. So I'm going to go up this one, quick part of that edge, up here, there we go. Again, push any of your ends to the back of your work and we can weave those in later. And there we go, those are them finished with their lovely icing design. And as I said, if you didn't want to hang them on a Christmas tree, you can leave this chain off and simply thread a length of yarn through the back of them to make a nice bunting or perhaps other type of hanging decoration. So yeah,